Hello, and welcome to Fantasia in Bloom, an exploration of flowers throughout art history, curated by Hayden Newhouse. Flowers have been in existence for at least 125 million years and serve a vast assortment of purposes, from providing food to insects to using their various colors and shapes to aid in reproduction through pollination, seed growth, and dispersal. Additionally, flowers cleanse the air through their scents, help boost any mood, and provide a beautiful prop for artistic masterpieces to be produced. I chose these objects specifically as a theme for my exhibition because I've always been fascinated by the appearance of flowers ever since I was a little girl. I thought this would be a great way to examine how the portrayal of flowers has advanced in the evolution of art history. I also believe that each geographical location shown will emphasize how various cultures interpret flowers and how they influence the most distinguished artists. While compiling works for this exhibition, I found that although they come in many categories, flowers have left a deep impact on mankind and the art we create. Here we will explore many themes of life, including love, optimism, grace, innocence, femininity, and mortality, as demonstrated in Bloom. Our first piece, which is a funerary seal dedicated to Osiris and the gods of Abydos by the standard bearer of King Akapura-Mensuium of ancient Egypt, is one of the earliest signs of flowers being used in art history. I chose this particular piece because it features lotus flowers all throughout the entire stele. At the time, lotus flowers were seen in ancient Egypt as a symbol of creation, rebirth, and vitality in the afterlife. It also represented the rise and fall of the sun. Our next piece, La Primavera, also known as Spring, is another great example of how the use of flowers in art can really make a strong impact, as shown here from the Renaissance era. Botticelli does an amazing job using chiaroscuro, or the difference between light and dark elements, in both the foreground and background. He also uses iconographical symbols from ancient mythology, including Venus, Mercury, and Cupid. I chose this piece in particular because it uses orange blossoms, which are represented by purity, innocence, chastity, and fertility. Our next piece, Vanita's Still Life, pretty much speaks for itself. All of the objects that are shown in this painting are all elements of Vanitas, which alludes to mortality and the passing of time. The flower that's at the edge of the table is newly picked, however, it won't be long before it withers away and dies. Claus did an excellent job of representing that the flower refers to how fragile life can be, which is exactly why I chose to feature this painting in my exhibition. Our next piece, Peacock and Peonies, is a beautiful representation of contrast and color in Asian art. Okio does a fantastic job of highlighting the bold nature of the peacock with its very detailed feathers, while also representing the graceful movement of the peacock. The peonies that surround the peacock in the scroll represent good fortune, bravery, and honor. I chose this piece in particular because I always liked the look of peacocks. They're very stunning, and peonies are one of my favorite flowers. Our next piece, Snap the Whip, is another great example of how the use of flowers changed over time in art, especially during the post-Civil War era. Homer did an excellent job at invoking the innocence in the children playing, as children were seen at the time as the promise of America's future. The background represents the simple lifestyle Americans were leaving behind post-Civil War, and the wildflowers that are shown in the bottom of the painting could represent nostalgia or new beginnings. I chose this piece in particular because it takes me back to a time in my childhood where I had no worries or cares at all. Georgia O'Keeffe was very well known for making many beautiful paintings of flowers. However, this one our next piece, Jimson Weed, was a perfect representation of the amount of detail that OKeefe put into her work, as well as making everything look so lifelike, which is why I chose this piece in particular. Elizabeth Arden commissioned OKeefe to work on this piece, and she put it in her new gym to motivate clients to reach their goals with health and fitness. The datura flower represents power and caution, but also can be seen as a fresh start. This preliminary drawing, nude with calla lilies, is a perfect example of how flowers were used in art to evoke sensuality. Rivera used the calla lilies as phallic symbolism while also portraying the abundance of life and death in Mexico. The female presence is associated with flowers through the social and economic position of women at the time, while also presenting sensuality and eroticism. I chose this piece in particular because I appreciate the femininity of it. Our next piece, Puppy, is an adorable sculpture that's way bigger than life size, but also an excellent example of how flowers can be used in an abstract and avant-garde way in art. Koons does an excellent job of using iconography with imposed scale, making it seem like it is literally and figuratively still growing. The flowers in this piece symbolize optimism, confidence, and security, which is why I chose to highlight this piece in my exhibition. Our final piece, A Rose for Lily, is not only a beautiful tribute to Lily and Disney, but it also is a great example of how flowers can be used in art as stunning architectural masterpieces. Gary did an amazing job with the attention to detail on the petals as well as the mosaic design. I love this piece because it reminds me so much of tranquility, peace, and harmony.